in love with a fictional character? Isn't that childish? They are not existed. Move on. This is why you will never get a boyfriend in real life. You are wasting your time. Stop. It is immature. What? That is weird. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you for watching another episode of A Talk with Putri, Nurul, Alexsha. Fictional Characters. It is truly undeniable that each one of us experience the same feeling in our life, right? It does not matter if you experience it during your childhood or maybe already move on with the real relationship. The butterflies feel in your stomach during their first impactful experience.
To the blind, everything may not be as it appears.
The feeling of excitement and passion when we saw their first character development throughout the story. Even myself still experience it until today. And I am almost an adult now. When it comes to fictional characters, it does not necessarily define as an imaginary individual. For in fact, there are a lot of fictional characters from various works of fiction in today's advanced society. For example, movie show, animation, and even video games. First of all, I would like to notify you that these characters are my fictional crushes. Yes, I totally agree with the fact that they look so attractive and have an outstanding personality. Now, before I started to gush over my fictional crushes for the whole episode, let's move on to the next segment. Shall we begin? Can you really fall in love with a fictional character? There are still some of people in the community believes that having a crush with a non-existent individual is unrealistic, immature, and even unhealthy for our life. When it comes to love, it does not necessarily mean about being in a relationship and getting married. There are various definitions of the word love. It could be an affection of self-love, platonic friend love, familial love, and more. According to Merriam-Webster, love can be defined as fondness for impersonal or abstract things such as food, music, favorite color, or favorite animal. Fictional characters such as Loki from Marvel series and Harry Potter from Harry Potter series are basically impersonal things as they are only a creation of someone's work. However, people somehow figure out that their affection towards the fictional character can feel unique, distinctive, and personal for them. Despite this, it does not mean that they already lost feelings for the real people, in which somehow cause them to be emotionless in reality. Therefore, It will be argued that even though it is unrealistic, falling in love with a fictional character is possible for each one of us, because the word love has a lot of meaning behind it. In this world, love has many variations of forms. First and foremost, if you have an admiration for their positive characteristics or qualities, this indicates that you experience platonic friend love. For this type of love, the specific term is philia. Philia defined as a desire for understanding, and it is considered as the highest form of love. As described by Aristotle, philia depends on the belief that the one you love has worthy qualities such as useful, virtuous, and likable. Therefore, most of people try to seek for better understanding of their character through watching, reading, or inventing their own ideas. For example, the character from that show has an outstanding personality. I want to know more about him. I'm going to stay up late tonight to watch all of the episodes to get to know him better. Now that is an example for philia. In addition, it is common for authors to write their character's development to fulfill that purpose. Now, imagine yourself watching a fictional character with visible, unlikable, or non-virtuous personalities. What do you feel about that specific character? Of course, most of us will dislike that character due to their unappealing qualities. Majority of the fictional characters have various distinct qualities worthy of platonic admiration. Thus, it develops a better and deeper understanding between a fan towards their favorite character. When the character has a well-written story, they will sympathize and emotionally attach to their favorite character. Based on my experience, this is highly true, especially on the emotional attachment. Crying, smiling, and frustrating whenever there is something huge happen with our favorite ones. There is one interesting fact. Falling in love with a fictional character is considered as a good practice to develop our empathy. Some of fans are having difficulty to connect with real people and empathy. Therefore, well-written plotlines allow them to connect with the characters more than merely attraction to their appearance. For those who experience emotional deficits, this can be incredibly useful for practicing emotional connection. Thus, the connection formed between the fans on their favorite characters is already reached on an emotional level, which is the same stage with a real friend. Still believing that falling in love with a fictional character is not real? Do not worry. There are still a lot of useful explanations of this. Without wasting more time, let us proceed with the next point. Furthermore, there is also a familial love, which known as Stargate. Stargate considered as a love developed through familiarity specifically for other real people. However, it is also can be seen as a close relationship in which depends on shared interests or a dedication to one another. Did you know that Philia, admiration, is a stage comes after Stargate? In most cases, fans usually develop this type of love through growing up with their favorite character. In other words, they frequently use their pastime to read or watch the series. I wonder why. But why? It could be they want to catch up with the story and witness their favorite's development. According to Psychology Today, Stargate can be strongly defined as unilateral or asymmetrical. Therefore, it indicates that the term is suitable for the reciprocated love of fans towards the characters. For example, I think I have developed an affection for this character now, for over the years. Now that is the example. Generally, Stargate usually applicable when a character leaves the story or dies for the sake of the story development. When it happens, the fans will grieve and sorrow over the loss of their favorite one, crying and staying in their room for 24 hours because they still cannot get over with their death. It is kind of sad and tragic to think about it. If you ever experience it, don't forget to take a deep breath and drink a lot of water. It is an interesting fact that this stage of love usually occurred for family members or close friends and not fictional characters. Have you ever heard of others grieving over their fiction character's death? J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling, an author of Harry Potter work, is an excellent example for this. Spoiler alert for those who is still watching or hasn't read any of her work. She has stated in her social media platform that she was in tears when she forced to murder her characters in her work. As shown as in her social media post, Arthur lived, so Lupin had to die. I'm sorry. I didn't enjoy doing it. The only time my editor ever saw me cry was over the fate of Teddy. Sad emoticon face. Thus, it clearly shown that fictional characters can still connect with the fans as if they were a real people, despite being non-existent in this world. Losing the one you felt attached to can be difficult to face on or move on. So, it is important to let out your feelings to your trusted ones, like friends, close friends, best friends. So far, I already explained the love for fictional characters is real through Philia and Stargate. I'm sure that most of you are curious for the next one, so hold on tight because it is the last point for today's topic. Last but not least, agape. Agape defined as altruistic or selfless love, mainly for strangers. It frequently seen as a selfless love, without expecting something in return. Although it may sound tragic in real life, but fear not. It usually happens when someone genuinely yearning for their favorite's best interests. It frequently depends on the individual's fans' preference for which characters receive that type of love. For example, horror fiction work. As we all know, most of the horror fictions involve with characters' death and twisted storyline. Technically, majority of the characters in that specific genre has short life because the storyline mainly involves with surviving. Therefore, the love towards these short-lived characters is considered as a gape. How? Basically, this altruistic love can be developed through sympathetic characters or simply because the fans interested with the story. The fans will grow sympathetic towards the characters even though they already knew there is a death flake on that specific character. They will treasure and cherish the moment where the characters are still alive, while hoping for the loved ones survive throughout the story. However, when that time arrives, they finally have to emotionally prepare to face it. Other than that, we might get to know the characters personally than in real life people. By what? By through the character screen times given. For example, narration. Narration allows the fans a time or a space into their thoughts. Even the plotline helps the fans to understand the favorite character's private affairs. Regardless, empathy and sympathy have a huge role as a response to fictional characters. I will provide an excellent example for this explanation. Occasionally, there are some characters that are not initially likable by every fans in the first show or first episodes. However, slowly but surely, they will redeem themselves, in which gradually improve the fans' sympathy towards them. Thus, attach with a fictional character because of their relatable traits is definitely considered as love, as the fans are willing to encounter selfless love without expecting something in return. In conclusion, getting attached or falling in love with fictional characters is existent and real. As we can see, falling in love with the fictional characters is not a bad thing to do. Contrasted with some of the community believing that it is immature, childish. Falling in love with a non-existent individual is in fact real, as it comes with various types of love, such as Philia, a platonic friend's love. This love can be seen as admiration of their good qualities and traits. Other than Philia, there is also Stargate, which is a familial love. This type of love usually develops as we are getting emotionally attached with the fictional characters. The last one, agape, which is a selfless love or altruistic love. Despite this, it could be some combination of these feelings. Even so, as long as people or fans know the boundaries and understand the crush feelings are fictional, they will be not hurt by these feelings. It is pitiful to think that some of them were willing to deny their feelings for the sake of acceptance in the society. Why choose to avoid the feels when you can just accept it? Thus, instead of rejecting or ignoring those crushed feelings for fictional characters, you should embrace it for your own happiness. Looks like we finally reached at the end of the episode for today's week. Thank you for watching this episode of A Talk with Putri, Nurul, Alexsha with our topic today, which is, can you really fall in love with a fictional character? That is all from me. Goodbye and have a great day ahead.